Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Season 4 character arc analysis type of video. Now, I've done Anthony, I've done Eli, I've done Miguel, I've done Robbie, I've done Tori. Now it's time for DEMETRI. So comment down below who you would like me to do next. Even though, I have a rough idea who I'm doing next, because obviously I have to, but just out of interest, comment down below. Now, in this one, I'm going to be talking about one half of the Binary Brothers, that is DEMETRI. I'm going to work on pronouncing his surname. But I want to stress, I did say before Season 4 dropped that his surname would literally be a throwaway surname. It would literally be nothing. I saw people saying that it could be linked to Silver or whoever. I said, oh, come on, this isn't Empire Strikes Back. Anyway, throughout the season, DEMETRI just further enhances what I've been saying about his character. That he is the Neville Longbottom of this show. He's the one that starts out as that, timid, shy, anxious, scared, weasel, if you will. Who then over time develops into a competent, composed, Miyagi-Do leader and badass. And what I really enjoyed this season with DEMETRI in particular was not just the fact that Gianni got to shine, but it felt like DEMETRI was the most DEMETRI to me this season. I felt like everything sort of come together. You've got a bit of Season 1 DEMETRI in there, a bit of Season 2 DEMETRI, and the lessons he learned in Season 3, all coming full circle in this season. And his relationships with the characters is very strong. In particular, his relationship with Sam. They've got like a sort of buddy-bro kind of connection there, which really works. And there's like the moment when they're on the rooftop with the rest of the students, and then he uses Nate as a comparison for height measurement. It was, oh god, it's brilliant. And then seeing him and Johnny work together, he accidentally kicks Johnny in the face, and then Johnny just ties him up and uses him up as a punching bag, which we all saw coming a mile away, as these two just, as Johnny would put it, is he the mouthy one? But DEMETRI for me is one of those characters where I feel like if Cobra Kai was the Karate Kid, out of all the kids that we have in this show, with, Robbie, Tori, Eli, Sam, Miguel, DEMETRI is the one that would fit the 80s Karate Kid mold the most, in my opinion. He starts out as a scared, shy loser who sits, basically a basement dweller, but with some signs of potential, and the odd good quippy one-liner here or there, and eventually develops into a complete badass. There's a moment in the mid-season, or just before the mid-season, I think in episode 4, when they're at the drive-in, and he walks, he's like, oh, not another bloody, rumble. It's like he always walks in at the right moment and knows what to say, and they all look at him like, yep, of course it's DEMETRI to throw the one-liner in there. But then as the season progresses, and I did say this before Season 4 dropped, that what would be good about DEMETRI this season is how he served Eli's arc. Now, I knew and long anticipated something happening to Eli. That was just, if you know storytelling, that's the route they're going to go. And Eli got what he deserved and then some. Now, as much as heartbreaking as it was to see his hair get shaved off, and it was a traumatic experience for him, reducing his character back down to 0 is why you don't kill off redemption characters. Because Eli winning the trophy at the end of Season 4 is one of the best moments in the show, because it's not just redemption, it's a full circle for his character. And it took DEMETRI, his best friend, to have him believe in himself again. He is not defined by a mohawk. As DEMETRI puts it, you could have whatever hairstyle you want. It didn't define who you were down to a T. Your mohawk was an extension of yourself. That's what it was. And the bond that these two have, it goes right back to Season 1. You really see early shades. And it's really weird seeing DEMETRI and Hawk hanging out together for the first half of the season, because of the last 2 seasons of them being at each other's throats. But then after the shaving and Eli's down in the basement playing Dungeon Lord, DEMETRI is the one to relight that fire within Eli. He's the one to bring it back out of him. And then we get treated to a little bit cringy, but a funny video of them doing the Binary Brothers thing back, way back when. So we get the history and the context, and we get just a little bit more backstory, and just something it's cheesy, but it's funny, and it's exactly what Eli needed in that moment. Eli was completely down and out, And Demetri's self-awareness in the scene where he's talking to Eli, you know, when he's playing Dungeon Lord, where he's like, do I look at, like, Miyagi-Do's best chance of defeating Robbie Keane? He's well aware that a character like himself, you know, it's like he's speaking in the third person. As good as he is, and good for the occasional moment, against someone like Robbie, he has no chance. But then he says to Eli, you have a chance. And we've always known that Eli's had a chance. It's just the plot's always held him back. But Demetri was the one to bring that out of him and be that best friend for him. Be that voice, that guiding light that brings Eli back. And I think the moment where Eli says, I'm not even joining Eagle Fang either, it dawns on Demetri that this has broken Eli to his core. All the seasons of everything he's done leading up to this moment have now finally caught up with him. And it's just, like, Eli's arc this season is so much more special because of what Demetri does for Eli. And seeing how Demetri has grown into a confident leader, you know, got the girl of his dreams, as he puts it, and just being an all-round kind of... The fact that he fights Robbie in the... I think, was it the quarters or the semis? I can't remember which. But he fights Robbie, okay? This dude, as I put in the thumbnail, that pose, he's taunting Robbie. Like, after he floors Robbie onto the floor, he's taunting him. He's like, come on, come on. I'm like, how... If this isn't character progression, I don't know what is. The fact that he's developed from a guy that was too afraid to go and talk to a girl is now staring one of the most lethal fighters in the show and egging him on, saying, come on, bring it on. And he loses with grace and with dignity. And I think there was even a look on Robbie's face where Robbie was like, man, you know, it was almost a look of pride. Like, Robbie was kind of proud of the fact that Demetri now is able to stand up for himself. Because if you think back to Season 2, Robbie defended Demetri on multiple occasions. And I did say before Season 4 dropped, Demetri and Robbie had to fight in the All Valley. Why? Just because I wanted Robbie to face his Miyagi-Do friends. Because then Demetri, being the nerd that he is, will provide the reference that I have been waiting for. I was hoping he was going to dub Robbie Darth Vader. And he basically said, I feel like a youngling about to get slaughtered. You know, I had a tough time fighting him and he was on the light side of the Force. Now he's gone all Sith. And then Eli throws the high ground reference in there. Like, I mean, it's perfect! It's perfect! And he loses, but he loses with grace and with dignity. And as I said, there's that. I think Robbie is kind of proud in that moment that Demetri's now able to stand on his own 2 feet and fight for himself. And the fact that Demetri loses and he doesn't get upset about it. He's just like, oh man, you know, he takes it in stride. And I think that's a testament to his character and how far he's come. And I can't wait to see where this guy goes even further from here. I, for one, really wanted to see Demetri face Kyler in the tournament because I felt like Kyler would be a great opponent for Demetri. But with the way the season played out, Eli fighting Kyler was like how when Miguel fought Kyler in the house fight, it was symbolic. There was a lot of symbolism there. The reason in the house fight Kyler went with Miguel is because Miguel had just got out of his injury, and it was very symbolic. It was the first person that Miguel, for all intents and purposes, had beaten up. So it was basically bringing it full circle. And Hawk, we know, would have absolutely destroyed Kyler. But where Eli was in the tournament, and the headspace that he was in, he wasn't in that kind of frame to probably take on some of the better fighters. So taking on Kyler, there was a good full circle there. But, down the line, I do need to see Demetri going up against Kyler. And I need to see Demetri taking Kyler's arse out. I really, excuse my French, but I really feel like Demetri is one of them characters that is just going to go from strength to strength to strength. And admittedly, I would have liked more from him this season. But I felt like, overall, by and large, his arc was something I was invested in. And the fact that he was the guiding light for Eli to bring him back... And I think it played an absolute significant part in Miyagi-Do winning the men's trophy. If it wasn't for Demetri, Eli wouldn't have taken it to Robbie as he did. And I know Moon is, you know, the GOAT. She is undisputedly the GOAT. But if it wasn't for Demetri giving him that urge, and even in, you know, when Demetri gets the point before Eli faces Kyler, Eli's like, yeah, Demetri, like he's happy. He's back to his usual self. He can be himself. Hawk and Demetri have had polar opposite arcs where Demetri has retained who he is while having doubts, but he trains at Miyagi-Do. He stays himself. Hawk, however, pushed against his own beliefs and his own way of life, thinking it was nerd rubbish, and basically became the opposite of DEMETRI. And I think seeing DEMETRI embrace his nerdiness and still get all the things that Hawk desired just further cemented his decision to join Miyagi-Do with his best friend. And as much as Hawk doesn't fit Miyagi-Do, Eli fits. And I really am so happy that Eli and DEMETRI are on the same page. Binary brothers. Brothers for life. I know there's been talk of sequels and spin-offs with this show, and I honestly wouldn't mind seeing something with DEMETRI and Eli down the line if they go that route. I think they could do something quite cool with that. And in terms of fighting skill, Eli's always going to come out on top, but DEMETRI could definitely progress even further as the seasons go along. Now, we know there's going to be 6 in total that have been long since rumoured, but I mean, they could go to a season 7, but for me personally, you know, you tell your story, you know, beginning, middle, end, and you know when to close the book. It's one thing I'm happy that the season did. But I would like to see more from DEMETRI in the future, and Gianni just plays him so perfectly. Just the mannerisms, the quirkiness, the little quips, the jokes. And this is why I said to people back in season 1, when they found DEMETRI an annoying character, I said, give it time. DEMETRI's a slow burn character, and now we're starting to see all of it come together. Isn't it great and isn't it satisfying to watch as DEMETRI evolves in not to just a more confident person, but a leader, a person who believes in himself? And everyone wants to know the formula of how he got Yasmin. It was simple. He was just himself, and he just had the confidence, and that's all it requires. There's no like real grand secret to it. Again, polar opposites. Hawk had the confidence, but then his arrogance and the way he started treating people is exactly what pushed Moon away. And him going to Miyagi-Do and learning how DEMETRI did is what brought Moon back to him. And that's a testament to DEMETRI. And I link it all the way back to the house fight. When Hawk saves DEMETRI, DEMETRI could have easily said, get the hell out of my face. Like, you broke my arm. You've done all this bad stuff to me. DEMETRI forgave him instantaneously. Instantaneously, despite everything that Hawk had done. Even in season 2, when they were talking about Doctor Who. And there's a new doctor? What's he like? She's a badass. Doctor Who's a woman? Like, they were both bonding for a second, and then Hawk, being his usual grumpy self in season 2, I don't know what he was on in season 2, gets the cup, douses DEMETRI in it. You know, moments like that. Then chasing him through the school like a serial killer. There's all these moments that between Hawk and DEMETRI that have now been paid off. And now you have the evolution of where these two bookworms started to where they are now. And I just really want to see a scene of Miguel, Eli, and DEMETRI, maybe even having a fight scene working together. The original trio. The original nerdy trio. And what a great arc for them. The 3 nerds who were sat in the corner, who looked at the 3 girls, Moon, Sam, and Yasmin, and they were like, yeah, they're never going to give us a shot. Miguel was the only one who had hope because of the teachings from Johnny. And look at where they are now. Look at where they are now. It's what a progression for these 3 characters. And DEMETRI is a huge centerpiece of that. And I think DEMETRI, even in season 3, when Miguel got back to a better state and found out what Hawk had done after breaking his arm, you know, that also set things into motion. Is that DEMETRI is just a key part of the trio, as Hawk and Miguel, you know, they're equally level. In terms of fighting, Miguel and Hawk are always going to be above. But DEMETRI is like, he's like the Ron. You know, like you get Harry, Hermione, and Ron. You get Harry that's the courage, Hermione that's the brains, and you get Ron that's the soul of the group. As was seen in Deathly Hallows Part 1, when he buggers off, there's a fracture down the middle. That's what it requires for these 3. And even in the tournament, and I'm going to touch on this as well, Eli and Robbie, in that moment where they bowed to each other, I've never had more... The last time I had chills like that was when Chozen and Daniel bowed to each other in Season 3. That is what it's all about. Respect that is formed and earned between fighters. And I know this was a DEMETRI video and I kind of went off into tangents of other characters, but I'm just showing you how like interconnected this all is. And DEMETRI's that character that is the web between everything. He's the web to Daniel, he's the web to Johnny, he's the web to his speech in Season 3. You know, hey pussies, this is exactly what those arseholes at Cobra Kai want, and he brings them all together. What a moment. DEMETRI can only go further from here. Guys, comment down below your favourite DEMETRI moment, and if any of you can say a surname, because I'm still working on that. But guys and girls, jump in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think of DEMETRI's arc this season. Where would you like to see him go from here? Where do you think he's going to go from here. And hey, can we get Binary Brothers? That video clip that he played Eli, can we get that on Blu-ray? 4K Blu-ray. I would buy that. I would absolutely buy that. Binary Brothers.